2022. The Board of Supervisors of the County of Del Norte and the governing body of all other special assessment and taxing districts for which said board so acts is now meeting in regular session. Only those items that indicate a specific time will be heard at that time, the assigned time. All other items may be taken out of sequence to accommodate the public and staff availability. Kylie, would you please take roll?
Supervisor Howard?
Here.
Supervisor Starkey?
Here.
Supervisor Maston?
Here.
Chair Hemmingson?
I'm here.
I'll make note that Supervisor Short is absent.
Thank you. And at this time, we're going to take a moment of reflection. And now, if you'll all please stand, Supervisor Howard will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Introduction of new employees. Right on.
Good morning, Board. I am very pleased today to introduce our new Deputy Director of the Public Works Branch, also known as our County Engineer. This is the first time we've had this position held full-time since 2010. So I'd like to introduce John Olson.
Hi, I'm John Olson, civil engineer, born and raised here in Del Norte County. I had a great opportunity to go away to the University of Sacramento and immediately return. I worked for Stover Engineering for approximately 11 years, spent the last 4 years as the city engineer, and had the opportunity to come serve the community of Del Norte and hope to make it a better place, and I'm enjoying raising my children here. So,
Thanks, John. Welcome. Appreciate it. Other new employees?
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
DHHS is slowly filling their vacancies. I have we have 3 new employees for DHHS. I'm going to go ahead and have our managers introduce them. So if I can have them step over here.
Great.
Good morning, Board.
morning.
I'm Dorothy Wadlow, one of the program managers for Public Assistance Employment and Training Branch. And I would like to introduce 2 of our new employees, Alicia Bradley and Angelina Nunes. And they would like to say a few words.
Great.
Hi, my name is Angelina Nunes. I've lived in Del Norte for going on 10 years now, and I just got hired on as office assistant for the Department of Health and Human Services.
Great.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Alicia Bradley. I'm Office Assistant for Department of Health and Human Services, just got hired. I'm a new transplant to Del Norte, but I'm looking forward to a career with the county.
Great. Welcome.
Great, welcome.
Hello, Board. Jake Campbell. I am a Health Nutrition Program Manager for Public Health. I would like to introduce to you guys Grace Brewski, who is joining us as a new health educator for our Coastal Connections program. Grace has a wealth of experience working with local youth, and we're very excited to have her join the public health team.
Great.
Welcome.
Welcome. Morning. Okay. We do have another new employee, but they're not available at this time, and when they do come in, we will introduce them. Oh, he is here.
Yeah.
He made it. He made it.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay.
So I have a special guest. Real proud to introduce Valor. This is Deputy Kenny Fondrick, you guys know, but this is Valor. He's a German Shepherd, straight out of Germany. We're all real proud to bring him to the community. This is a huge accomplishment for Del Norte County, for the Board of Supervisors, for the Sheriff's Department. Kenny and Valor just went through 5 weeks of training. They're state certified on patrol and narcotics detection, including fentanyl, which is a huge accomplishment for Del Norte County. So we want to welcome them to the community. We want to get the drugs off the street, and this is one huge way to get that going. So welcome Valor and Deputy Kenny Fondrick, and we're looking forward to good things.
Great.
Oh, great, welcome. Beginning of our drug task force.
Right on.
We'll be out and about town, so if you see me, we got our new decals on our car, so it's the black and white, and it'll say the canine on it. Feel free to stop by, say hi.
Right on.
Yes.
You'll see me out and about in town, so.
Cool.
He's pretty social, so he likes people.
Great.
He's always welcome.
We don't have to learn German or anything.
Nah, I got that part, I got that part covered for you.
Right on.
He loves beef sticks too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember that.
All right. Welcome, Valor. Thank you. Okay. County Council, any actions from closed session?
Nothing today, Chair.
All right. At this time, I would request any deletions, corrections, or additions from board members to the agenda. In order to add an item to the agenda, the matter must have come to the attention of the county subsequent to the posting of the agenda, and the matter requires action before the next regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors. Any such items? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to brief announcements relative to the county Del Norte programs, projects, progress with 2x2 committees, goal committees, and board staff, traveling, training reports, and we're going to start with Supervisor Maston.
Okay, so I, with everyone else, attended the joint Harbor City and County Tri-Agency meeting. I met with individuals regarding juvenile hall closure, continued to meet with individuals, realtors, and residents regarding vacation rentals. I attended and volunteered at a booth for the Halloween at Margaret Keating School. I attended Congressman Huffman's Steelhead Fishing Derby dinner at Requa Inn. I didn't realize what a talented musician he was. He can play the guitar and sing. Attended the National Women's Honoring Luncheon in Sacramento, where I had the honor to be one of the Women of the Year honorees. Met with residents regarding blight and roads and Birch Track. And I met with individuals and True North reps regarding the homeless issue and past committee efforts, and we'll be holding a meeting with them November 9th. And that concludes my report.
Great, thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Starkey.
Hi, thank you. Yes, I also attended the joint meeting between the county, the city, and the harbor, which I really felt was really a great way for all of us to come together and make a decision that's going to impact the entire community. I met with Supervisor Short to discuss some of the goals that we want to set for ourselves for the future. We talked about wanting more frequent updates from department heads, and reviewed some ideas on public engagement. We met up at the Hiuchi Hamlet, where we presented our server, Janine Thompson, with her banner. She was a hometown hero this year. She's a staple in our community. She's just an amazing woman. Well, she took that opportunity to ask us to look into something, and so I'm going to ask for the board to consider a consensus to direct staff. She would like to have a street light installed at the corner of Washington and Inyo. And so if we could possibly direct staff to not only look at that specific spot, but maybe review our street light policies and perhaps, look at the dangerous intersections and maybe consider some street lights in those areas, if I could get some consensus from the board to direct staff.
You have mine.
Great, thank you very much. I met with Crystal Nielsen, and she is the supervisor for Child Protective Services. We spent time, she was teaching me about how they, the services they provide and how they relate to juvenile probation and other juvenile services, which prompted us to kind of talk about the services within our community that we're providing, all the different agencies, and how we might not know exactly how we're maybe overlapping some of those services. So she had a great idea for us to hold a roundtable discussion to share ideas. And so I'm going to be putting that together and hosting that soon so that we can maximize our resources and blend our funding to stretch the services out further. I attended the local chamber of Commerce Board meeting. It's always one of my favorites. I welcomed a new great nephew, Cody Reed Knowlton, was born on October 28th, weighing 8 pounds 3 ounces. So he's our newest Del Norte County resident, or mine at least. I'm sure there's been births since then. I participated in the CHP's trunk or treat, and I had made over 1,000 of these little goodie bags for the kids, and I gave away nearly all of them. So there was over 1,000 kids there for the trunk or treat. Just want to give a special shout out to Brandy Gonzalez. You know, we say the CHP put it on, but it was really Brandy that puts all that energy and everything behind that. So we're really grateful that we have these engaged community members that want to do something good and fun for our community. I attended the closed Board of Supervisors session regarding the evaluation for the Chief Probation Officer. I met with Dr. Caldwell again regarding strategizing to find ways in which we can increase our mental health crisis response. I attended Sheriff Scott's town hall meeting, which was really enlightening and great, and Supervisor Howard was there to answer questions as well. And that prompted Supervisor Short and I to decide that we should probably be holding some of those for our districts as well. So we are going to have a joint town hall, Supervisor Short and I. That'll be November 30th between 6 and 7 p.m. And we're going to have code enforcement on hand, behavioral health on hand, and the sheriff to kind of give some updates on what's happening in our community. So I'm looking forward to that. I did meet with environmental health to discuss some solutions to some septic concerns, some things that already exist that we might be able to utilize in lieu of changing anything drastic. I'll bring some of that forward as time goes on. I really want to thank Hua and Brandon, who are environmental health specialists. They do such a wide variety of functions in this community that I think that I even overlook. It's not just restaurant inspections. They're doing so much more to really monitor our environmental health here, so I'm grateful for them. As with all of my colleagues, we received some California homeless updates. I just want to touch upon this, that Governor Newsom is going to delay giving the $1 billion in funding to local governments because he doesn't feel that local governments are meeting the mark. So he is delaying that until they can kind of regroup and decide how we can do a statewide strategy. So I think all of us will be paying very close attention to this. And then I just want to mention, we were accepted into this inaugural cohort of the Reaching Rural Advancing Collaborative Solutions Initiative. It's a U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance that has this advancing collaborative solution as a part of its mission to expand opportunities in rural communities. Del Norte has been offered this opportunity to participate with 70 other individuals who represent 80 rural communities in 14 states. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Joel Campbell Blair for spearheading the initiative, kind of lighting the fire with all of us. He got all of our paperwork in and filed. He wrote a beautiful essay that helped us get accepted. And I'm very much looking forward to this opportunity to bring some changes to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Had some discussions concerning Camp Park with Jack Ainsworth of the California Coastal Commission associated with the gifting of a parcel adjacent to Camp Park on the south side from the Westbrook family. In addition, had some discussions with Charles Bonham, Director of the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, as it's associated with Saxton's boat ramp, and in addition, issues going on with Lake Earl. Had some meetings, as previously mentioned, with the county, the city, and the harbor, specific to the tri-agency and the funding of past debt. Participated in some drought discussions with Senator McGuire, and also participated in the local transportation commission meeting. As Supervisor Starkey mentioned, participated in a Smith River Neighborhood Watch meeting with Sheriff Scott and had a lot of concerns, especially around fentanyl use in our community. Sheriff Scott was able to address a lot of that, but there's a lot of fear from the community if Measure U were to pass this evening, that a lot of the drug task force, which currently does not exist, will never exist because of the lack of funding in his department. So we're hoping to shore that up tonight and where the community would vote no on Measure U. In addition, had a lot of discussion thanks to Supervisor Hemmingson and his leadership with the RCRC, which is our Rural Counties Lobby. In Sacramento, we brought many members of the Rural County Lobby here this week. Terrence Rogers and Sarah Bolnick and Sarah Duquette and Sid Nag, both on the policy side and the economic development side for our community. There was a wide range of meetings that we had them engage with our community on, in particular with the county folks and our city folks, as rural issues are rural issues for everybody. One conversation in particular that we keyed in on with the Chamber of Commerce was around housing and jobs here in this community. The lack of housing is critically important, as we're well aware, both the near-term and long-term housing issues as it relates to our housing element and how we better plan for that. And of course, our workforce. As many of you are aware, especially folks who are employers, the issues around workforce development here in our community are lacking, and the amount of jobs currently available for folks to fill is plentiful. And yet, we haven't seemed to be able to marry those two. So how do we address those in the future? We're hoping RCRC and their staff can help us on the policy side at the state capitol, and then also on the economic development side by creating greater interest in those things that we currently have here and providing a foundation for economic development in the future. Also spending quite a bit of time as the California State Association of Counties meeting is next week, our annual meeting, which will be in Anaheim, and doing a lot of prep work around that and our drought discussion. Looking forward to our board attending that meeting, along with the other supervisors from all 58 counties in the state. I just wanted to remind everybody that there will be a Crescent City Dump Day on November 12th coming up soon. It's a free dump day. Hopefully everybody will take advantage of that, and anything that's unsightly in their yard, they take advantage of it and take it down to the dump. Also had several discussions with constituents around juvenile hall, participated in the closed session discussion with the evaluation of our chief probation officer. And in addition, also had planning discussions with Connie Stewart around SURF funding in the neighborhood, about $5 million that's coming down to our region in both Humboldt, Del Norte, Trinity, Lake, and Mendocino counties. And with that, that's the end of my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Howard. I participated in many of these same meetings, the City-County Harbor Joint Meeting. I participated in that. I had a whale working group meeting where we're just in the preliminary assessment stage of the Dungeness crab opening. I had a NORTEC meeting in Anderson. That will be my last NORTEC meeting that I will attend. So anyway, that's a great group, and whoever fills that position, I think will enjoy that a lot. Had a meeting with staff on the Pacific Shores issues. Had a local transportation commission meeting, as Supervisor Howard stated. I did an agenda review, attended the closed session with the probation evaluation, and Supervisor touched on the meeting that we had with the RCRC staff. I'm just going to elaborate a little bit. I don't want to get into it too much more, but it was nice. They wanted to tour areas of the county, and they met with some of the business people in the area, and they were here for about 3 days, not full 3 days, but they were here 3 days, 3 different days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They left on Friday, and we were able to show off the county a little bit. And then the nice thing, they're a very intelligent group. They have a lot of ideas, and as Supervisor Howard said, the housing and workforce issue, which housing has to do with workforce. We can't get workforce because we don't have housing in a lot of cases. So, but anyway, the really nice thing about it is they really didn't want to leave. They were wanting to see more, and we had a pretty full schedule from dusk until till into the evening, and they wanted to see more. So that was really nice to see that. And yeah, also had conversations with with constituents about the juvenile hall, and issues about waterfowl hunting with constituents. But that's about it for me. So we are going to move on to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any public comment on concession agenda items only? Seeing no public comment, we'll bring it back to the board. Any questions, comments? Kylie, would you please poll the vote?
Supervisor Maston?
Yes.
Supervisor Howard?
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey?
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes. I need to recuse myself on item number 16. I have a conflict of interest, business association. Okay, so we'll move on to...
Chair?
Yes?
There's a proclamation on the consent.
Oh, I'm sorry. There is a proclamation on the consent agenda. Thank you for reminding me of that. And Supervisor Starkey, would you please read that?
Absolutely. So it is Adoption Awareness Month, November 2022. Whereas November is National Adoption Awareness Month, and across the nation, more than 122,000 children are legally free for adoption, and over 8,000 foster care children are in the Commonwealth of California, and they're waiting for adoptive families. And whereas youth leaving foster care without being adopted or without permanent connections face ongoing challenges with employment, education, and mental health, as well as have an increased risk of homelessness and human trafficking. Whereas every child in Del Norte County, regardless of physical, medical, or emotional challenges, age, race, sexual orientation, they need love, support, and security, and a permanent place to call home. Whereas during Adoption Awareness Month, we celebrate all the families who have opened their homes to children through adoption, including the 250 children and youth adopted from foster care within the last 2 decades in Del Norte County. Whereas we recognize those children and youth still waiting to join an adoptive family, because we currently have 160 children in foster care in Del Norte County waiting to find adoptive families. Whereas the Department of Health and Human Services is committed to supporting children in foster care waiting for adoption and supporting adoptive families through education, services, and support. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Del Norte County Board of Supervisors, on behalf of all the residents of Del Norte County, does hereby proclaim the month of November 2022 as Adoption Awareness Month. Del Norte County urges all residents to support our children in any way they are able, whether by opening their hearts and homes through adoption, becoming foster parents, or by supporting adoptive and foster parents in our community. Pass and adopt this 8th day of November 2022. Is there someone here to accept it?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mickey Harris, and I'm with Lilyfoot Families, and we provide post-adoption services to the families here in Del Norte County. We're a statewide organization, and we have loved for the last 3 years working with Del Norte County families. And we work closely with Michelle and her group, so I'll let her talk.
Thank you. My name is Michelle Moore, and I'm the Parent Education Support Coordinator with Adoption Clinical Services. And I also have one of our amazing adoptive parents of 3 amazing boys. And I also want to acknowledge our social workers and supervisors from child welfare, because without them we wouldn't be here. So on behalf of all the children in Del Norte County who have been adopted, we truly thank the Del Norte County Board of Supervisors for recognizing November as National Adoption Awareness Month. Children are our most vulnerable citizens in our community. When a child is removed from their home and placed into foster care, their life is forever changed. However, it is long before that blueprint of trauma is formed. Although the system fights hard for these children to remain in a safe environment where they are free to grow and thrive in a stable and loving home, this is not always the case. The uncertainty of foster placement is another layer of trauma. When a child becomes eligible for adoption, their adverse effects become unpredictable, and most families aren't prepared for what may come. Adoption is presented to children in many catchy phrases like adoption day, gotcha day, forever day. Families make this decision for many reasons. For many, it's a joyous and exciting journey as a family, but it comes with unpredictability that can be overwhelming and not at all what we expected. My story is very similar to those who have adopted and needed support. My husband and I have been very blessed to adopt 6 children from Del Norte County after 20+ years of fostering. There are programs here in Del Norte County to strengthen and support families that make the choice to offer a child a forever home. Adoption Clinical Services is a wraparound program that supports adopted families with education, trauma support, and self-care opportunities. With a 97% success rate, the sole purpose of this program is to keep families intact while they move through the challenges of raising a child or children that come with a blueprint of trauma. We work alongside state and county adoptions to bring a love-based program to families here in our community. Our program is tailored to the unique individuals we serve. We create a plan of care that addresses the challenges and successes of their child. The plan of care is strength-based, designed to support them in their journey of adoption. We believe all families deserve the opportunity to thrive, and adopted families need more support. Thank you again for recognizing November as Adoption Awareness Month with this proclamation.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to our 10:25 timed item, which is public comment period. Members of the public may address the board on matters which are within the jurisdiction of the board. If you are addressing the board regarding a matter listed on the agenda, you may be asked to hold your comments until the board takes up that matter, and we will limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there any public comment?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
My name is Glenn Turner. I'm a 27-year resident of Del Norte County. I'm also the Senior Vice Commander of VBA in Brookings. I'm a Senior Vice Commander of VFW here in town, and also known as Santa Claus.
Got some competition.
We're going to keep that low key, though.
I'm concerned about our county veterans officer. I've been active in the VFW here for a number of years, last 2 in this position. And we haven't seen our service officer at a meeting. I have not seen him at any function other than the Veterans Day Parade in 5 years. So we have a veteran lady, it's Paulette Cooper, and she would like to take the position, and I personally feel, and it's shared by several of the members, that she would be a much better, a more active, I'm not going to say much better, a more active participant, and we would certainly like to see that. So I don't know how you folks decided on who it should be, but I would highly recommend that you take another look at some of the applicants. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, just like to take this opportunity to thank our veterans for their service to our country and the protection of our freedoms.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name's Andy Gosser, and I live in Crescent City at South Bank Road. I'd like to read to you a few things I wrote down. The definition of a for-profit commercial hotel is a place that operates as a commercial activity which provides short-term lodging to guests that is not used or is not intended to be used as a primary residence. We have heard from realtors and vacation/hotel owners who only have concerns for their profits. One who is running for office with you, Patty Adams, even said she believes that property owners should be able to do anything they want to on their property, no matter how it affects the neighbors or the neighborhood. With that in mind, can we rent out our properties out as toxic waste dumps now? Here are a few examples of ordinances that have been passed by dozens of Northern California cities and counties. There's too much to list if you go through all California or the country or other states. Brentwood, Brisbane, Burlingame, Calistoga, Colima, Concord, Corte Madera, Coati, Cupertino, Daly City, Danville, all short-term rentals are prohibited, except in commercial zones. Many other cities and counties have ruled that short-term rentals must be a primary residence and only be able to be rented as much as 90 days per year. That also must be host occupied during the stay. More examples include owners must reside on-site, maximum of 2 bedrooms to be rented, no more than 2 people per room. Short-term hosts must be physically present on the property throughout the guest stay. All unhosted are completely banned. Dwellings must be primary legal residence, must notify neighbors of a stay and carry a $1 million liability insurance claim. Insurance. Total available days for these areas are 60 days available a year. Granny flats and multifamily units are not eligible for short-term rentals. No events, parties, or gatherings. The first line of fees for failure is $1,500 first offense and $5,000 for each subsequent offense. All fees must be paid, taxes and all. They can only be rented or occupied if owner is present. They must, to be a owner-occupied unit, it must reside in at least 275 days per year. Must have business registration certification and separate permit for short-term rentals, which must be posted. Any violations are $484 per day and carry a $500,000 liability insurance.
Andy, you need to wrap it up here.
All right. Well, I sent all of you an email this morning with the long list.
Yep.
But I think we need some protection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Good morning. My name's Jeff Reed. I'm here on behalf of the 100 members of the Del Norte Waterfowlers. We recently learned that there is a petition circulated with the goal of closing Lake Earl, the Lake Earl Wildlife Area, to all waterfowl hunting. Our group consists of 100 local citizens, and we were formed specifically to pursue the retaining of our ability to hunt on the Lake Earl Wildlife Area. The petition that was submitted has a number of fallacies associated with, such as hunters killing endangered species, and the petition also states that little, if anything, that is taken along the lake is ever taken home. We are outraged at those accusations, and it is certainly not an example of what actually occurs out on the lake. These are outright lies, but the online petition has garnered significant attention from across the nation, and a lot of uninformed people are signing this online petition. That petition, the online petition, is related to an actual petition that's been submitted to the State Fish and Game Commission and will be considered on December 14th of this year, and it's a signed petition tracking number 2022-16. The Del Norte Waterfowlers is requesting that the Board of Supervisors send a letter to the State Fish and Game Commission condemning this petition and supporting our position that we are not in favor of any more hunting closures on Lake Earl or Lake Tolowa. Hunting is an integral part of the North American model of wildlife conservation and is unique and well respected around the world. Please note that at the recent October 18th meeting with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife in Smith River, the Del Norte Waterfowlers submitted over 277 individual comments related to prohibiting any further closures on Lake Earl. These forms all stated that the individual was opposed to any and all hunting closures on the Lake Earl Wildlife Area. I've got a copy of my comments I'll leave with you all. Also included is a copy of the Fish and Game Commission agenda. Well, let me rephrase that. The actual online petition, there's a copy of that in here. The petition submission to the Fish and Game Commission is included in this. And the significant component of all this is that the official agenda comes out on November 23rd, the day before Thanksgiving. The comment period ends December 1st for public written comments. There is an extended time period until December 9th when you can send in comments, but they are not received by the Fish and Game Commission members until the day of the meeting. So I would urge the Board of Supervisors, if possible, to pursue some action related to this sometime in the next couple of weeks, given the fact that your next meeting will be the same day as the Fish and Game Commission meets in Sacramento.
Thanks, Jeff.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes.
Jeff brings up an incredibly valid point specific to us reconvening and being able to actually weigh in on this petition that could potentially affect the closure of Lake Earl and Tolowa. How do we address this without having a special meeting?
Since this is an item that we've just heard about, can we add this as an urgency item to send a letter of opposition to the closures?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would make that motion.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to add an item to the agenda opposing the closure on Lake Earl for hunting. Is there any public comment? Seeing no public comment, then Kylie, would you please poll the vote?
Supervisor Maston?
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey?
Yes.
Supervisor Howard?
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes. Okay, we'll take that item up in a bit to approve a letter of that, but it is added to the agenda, so we'll bring that up a little bit later. Any more public comment?
My name's Linda Thompson, and I too live on South Bank Road, next door to vacation rental, and I support some kind of regulation on these. You know, we're liable financially. They cross our property. Dogs have chased me into my garage. There needs to be some regulation. It's out of control. We're not a commercial area. We're a residential neighborhood. So something really needs to be done. And there are a lot of us that are behind this.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Appreciate it. Any other public comment? Norma? You got up several times, back and forth.
I wanted to be considerate.
Excuse me.
Good morning. Norma Williams, Chapter President, DNCEA SEIU 10-1. Over the past several months, I've spoken out against Measure U, which our union and the Sheriff Employees Association view as harmful to our community. I speak now to those of you who will vote today. Consider the question, should you repeal additional funding for law enforcement, code enforcement, emergency response, street maintenance and repair, and other services like animal control and veteran services? Additional funding that would benefit your community? That depends on what you think you and our county deserves. Do you want to see a safe, clean, and growing community? Do you want to see better staffed and resourced county government in these critical areas? These departments fielded many complaints from you. Less staff, less resources led to delays in response and in providing the various services you demanded. This is why Measure R was passed, to address and meet your demands. Keep in mind that it takes time to build staff, shore up resources, time that the supporters of Measure U want to deny you. I understand the concern over taxes. However, these services are paid for with tax dollars. Yours, mine, all of us who work and live here. How else can you have a safe, clean, and developing environment? You can't settle for less and still expect more. This isn't only about salaries, which supporters of this measure want to hang their hats on, making county employees the boogeyman. Employees in law enforcement, planning, code enforcement, animal control, emergency services, Roads and Veteran Services are dedicated professionals. They are members of this community. They live here, worship here, raise their families here, and pay the same taxes as you do. They serve this community. That should count for something. It's up to you to decide what you and our county deserve. Reduced funding means less than what you demand more of and from an already understaffed workforce. Do you want to see Del County clean, safe, and growing? If so, then support us and vote no on Measure U. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I'd just like to invite you all, anybody here that has children or grandchildren under the age of 12. Santa will be at Veterans Hall the 16th day of December from 6 o'clock till we get it took care of. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Cindy Sanderson. I am the current president of the Del Norte Association of Realtors. I have been the president for 2 years. I'm also a director at the state level for the California Association of Realtors. And our position on vacation rentals is we support property rights, and we would not support any regulation on that. And also, I would like to ask if there is any task force or any discussion that a representative for the Board of Realtors is included in that conversation. We would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Dave Powell. I just want to say, with this being Adoption Month, that my son and his wife are in the final steps of adopting a little guy. They got him when he was 2 weeks old, and he's 14 months old, so we hope to have that finalized this month. It is through the foster care system, which is kind of a rent-to-own sort of a thing for kids. It works great, and I support it. I wanted to tell you that in regards to vacation rentals, I called Vince after our last meeting, and I got Andy's phone number. And I called Andy, and I had not gotten a call from him. I was surprised by that, so we chatted for 15, 20 minutes. And then soon after that, his wife texted me and said that she had been the one that called, and I looked at my calls, and she had indeed called, and I had missed her call. And I apologized for that. I also have volunteered to be, I would like to be a part of the South Bank property owners group that meets so we can have a true dialogue. I don't anticipate that happening, but I would love to do that. I want to say, just in our own situation, we built that fence I talked to you about. We also moved all of our furniture, lawn furniture, around the corner and out of the way, so it's farther away from Vince's yard, and I hope that will help. Unfortunately, this is the quiet time of the season, so we won't know until next summer. I also spoke with Supervisor Short. Can I talk about him when he's not here? Okay.
That's the best time to do it.
Everybody does. And we had a great conversation. He wants to put a monitor, a decibel monitor, on our property. And we talked about how that can happen. I am all for that. We already are in the process of purchasing monitors for our property so that we can be notified of extreme situations. I also got a copy of the resolution for the decibel, for the noise suppression, noise evaluation. And I really like it. I think it's great. I think it is difficult to enforce with it being decibel based. I don't know exactly how that'll happen. Like I said, we're putting a decibel monitor on our property, and I'll give Vince a decibel reading for our ambient noise, so that, if he decides to put a monitor on his property, that would be great. I see that that this is a misdemeanor. I don't know if that is for the offender or for me as the property owner, and how that is enforced. I would love to, get more information about that or be a part of that conversation. Again, thank you very much, and I support vacation rentals. They bring a lot of people to our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Any other public comment?
Chair, I have one online.
Okay.
Brandon, you are on. You just need to unmute your mic.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Board of Supervisors. I just wanted to touch on a couple topics previously mentioned, starting with Norma Williams and her position of supporting no on T&U. I would argue that people, civilians, Americans would want to reduce taxes, keep your hard-earned money. Of course, being the union strong arm, she gives a very biased perspective and one that is in her right, and managing the welfare of the employees of the county. But of course, I argue that it's your poor policy by this board that it hasn't given proper raises for too long, and your poor policy of condoning bad behavior. On the second point, the vacation rentals, again, it's important to consider perspective. Of course, your property managers and real estate agents have the most to benefit from vacation rental. But if you were to do any research on the effects that having too many vacation rentals can have on the community, you'll see that it adds to the inflation of other housing in the area. There's a direct correlation between vacation rentals and long-term rentals. So we've heard people asking for the supervisors to do something, and you've been sitting on your hands. I think it's important that you act. You have ability to make change, and I ask you to use that ability to promote positive change. Thank you.
I don't have any more online, Chair.
Sure, and we actually, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here with us today and long overdue is Kiyoshi Murakami. Kiyoshi is from the city of Rikisen Takeda, born and raised, and has been a valuable asset for our community and the city of Rikisen Takeda in helping to continue to spearhead the relationships between our two cities. The county and the city, as you're aware, passed resolution in 2018 joining our two communities as sister cities. It's been an extremely organic relationship over time, and one that has garnered worldwide attention in the Olympics with the showing of the story of Kamome, a story of a small maritime fishing training vessel for the Takata High School. With that, I'd like to introduce Kiyoshi Murakami, that long overdue Kiyoshi to see you here today, and please join us at the podium. And if you could speak to why our relationship has been a little distant for the last couple of years. Okay. I'm probably no surprise to many.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Chairman Hemmingsen, distinguished supervisors, fellow citizens of Delano County, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. And my name is Kiyoshi Murakami. This is my honor, and also very pleased to be back here in several years actually, and in Delano County. And then this is a very great honor to be speaking in front of you this morning, and also I'm very, very honored to be back here again. As Mr. Howard mentioned, that it's been quite some time, a very long time, that we could not meet each other due to that COVID. And so that still in Japan, as you may know, that we are wearing masks, even in the public facilities in the streets. However, we've been discussing over the Zooms and or online that communicating with Mr. Howard and also other colleagues in Crescent City and Delano County, in the case of occasions that we open up certain exhibitions actually showing our and also expressing our the appreciations and also history of the relationship between Representative Takada and Delano County Crescent Cities. Actually, we conducted a public exhibition as newly developed the 10 meters raised area called Abase public place, using the number of the photos here. So that's and then also, fortunately, we received the Kamome Ale from the Sequake for the people of Representative Takada, which was very fortunate to have that very, the vital color beer can with us. That was also very awesome thing for us as well. So by doing number of different things, we really want to continue our profound relationship between Delano County, City of Crescent City, and Representative Takada from now on. So it has been very well received by not only in the citizens of Representative Takada, also the number of the other communities in Japan, as well as other countries. So this is a great relationships, and then also we want to have that the exchanges, not only peoples, but also business exchanges as well. So that's the people here and also business people also can develop certain ways to collaborate together in businesses in Takada and also Japan. So I think that's going to be also good for the both of our community to move on from here. So I really want to have some kind of, this time I'm visiting only one day today. So unfortunately I cannot go back. I have to go back tomorrow back to San Francisco. But I think we really want to be back again and also continue our relationships. And then also same time, I really want you to come back to Representative Takada to visit sometime. Mr. Chairman, you are welcome to come back to the Representative Takada again.
Thank you.
So anyway, thank you very much for me to speaking in front of you at this profound council, and then also I hope our the relationship between two communities continues for forever in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great honor to have you speak before us. This regenerative relationship that we have, that's the key word I think that we're going to focus in on is regenerative in this county for the next number of years. So appreciate you coming. Thank you for all your efforts. Appreciate it.
And I'll just add very briefly, Mr. Chairman, I heard from my son last night, who's the president of the Japan Club at Del Norte High School, that not only are there 32 members of the Japan Club currently, they've had interest in over 50 students during this long, expansive period where there hasn't been much interaction or exchange between our two schools. They still have interest with 50 more students that want to be part of this relationship between our two communities and our sister school relationship. So I'm excited for Mr. Murakami and Fukuda-san to step into that fray today and experience what our youth have to offer to their community.
Great. Any public comment?
Chair, I have a hand raised online.
Okay.
Brandon, you are on. You just need to unmute your mic.
Yes, thank you for the visit from our sister city representatives. I was just wondering, with our community being so heavily dependent on the local fisheries, how Japan was mitigating the 1.3 radioactive water that is being released into the Pacific and what they're doing to protect us, their sister city, may harm our natural waterways.
I guess that's the end of his comment. Any other public comment? Okay, seeing no other public comment, thank you again. Appreciate your visit. We are going to move on to our 10:45 timed item. We're going to adjourn as the Board of Supervisors, reconvene as the Board of Equalization, and conduct a public hearing for a change of assessment. Carlin Crowley, APN 103-020-055.
The applicant's here, Chair.
Pardon me?
The applicant is here.
Okay, we'll hear from the applicant. Yeah, I think probably, yeah, don't they usually go first?
I was just saying she was here present.
Oh, okay. Maybe have her sit in the front row there, Kylie, if you'd help her. Does she need to get sworn in first?
Yes, Chair. Carlin, we'll just have you take a seat up front until the assessors are through. Can I get you to raise your right hand and state your name, please?
Karina Timmer.
Do you solemnly state under penalty of perjury that the evidence that you shall give in this issue or matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Karina Timmer. I'm a property appraiser in the assessor's office. And the packet that I've given to you guys today covers the assessment appeal 2020-018 for applicant Carlin Crowley. Her residence at 800 South Fred Haight Drive. It's a regular assessment appeal that covers valuation date 1/1 of 2020. This parcel is 1 acre located on South Fred Haight Drive. It's about 1 mile from Smith River. It's zoned agricultural and developed with a single-family residence built in 1915. The home is 1,598 square feet, has 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, plus an attached 384 square foot storage and carport area. It is in fair condition, but it does have substantial deferred maintenance. The items needing repair include the roof, the kitchen cabinets, water lines, interior and exterior paint, and there's also extensive work to be done in the yard. However, the siding and the overall structure of the home appear sound. The homeowner has also reported ongoing vandalism issues to the home since 2013. The neighborhood is rural. It's surrounded by bulb and lily fields, some agricultural fields, and we believe the highest and best use for this property is residential as it is improved. The approach we use to value it is the market approach, where we look at comparable sales to come up with a value. So she is challenging the enrolled value for the 2020 tax year. That value is $105,103. $58,211 is allocated to the land, and $46,892 is allocated to improvements, which are all the structures. Her opinion of market value as of January 1st, 2020 is $40,000 to the land and $40,000 to the improvements, for a total of $80,000 on the property. So the value that we enrolled for 2020 is known as the factored base year value. And that is defined as the market value as of her last change in ownership. It's then adjusted annually by a rate not more than 2%. Whenever the market value of a property on January 1st is less than that factored base year value, then we would enroll the market value at that point. That would be referred to as a Prop 8 valuation. In this case, we determined the market value to be $155,000 for the property, and because the $105,103 factored base year value was lower, we determined it did not qualify for the reduction. As I said earlier, we used a comparative sales approach to come to this value. There are two other common ways to value property that we use in our office. One would be a cost approach and one would be an income approach. We dismissed the cost approach as unreliable due to the age of the home, so that would involve costing it out per square footage and then using depreciation to come to a value. But it's hard to come up with a depreciation that's accurate when a home is that old. And then also this home does not produce any income, so that's not an accurate way to value it. Property tax rule 4, it states that when there is reliable market data available with respect to a given real property, then the preferred method of valuation is by reference to sales prices. In this case, comparable sales for the 2020 lien date assessment indicated that value of $155,000. This was based on both 2018 and 2019 sales of similar properties. And I was careful to take sales that featured either older homes in need of repair or parcels that were situated either near the subject property or were similarly surrounded by agricultural fields. And within the packet here, the first comparable I show is at 105 Fred Haight Drive. It is a manufactured home, but I do have some photos of the interior there. It shows pretty poor condition and an overgrown yard as well. This property sold for $90,000 on December 26, 2018. It is located across the street from the Bank Tavern in Smith River. It has different zoning than our subject property. It's zoned central business, but it is on the same street, and it is 0.29 acres smaller at 0.71 acres. Like I said, it had a 1,404 square foot manufactured home in poor condition. It was built in 2001. And at the time of sale, there was also a notice of nuisance filed against the property due to the dilapidated condition of the home and the overgrown yard. From that $90,000 sale price, the land was allocated $80,000. Because this parcel is smaller than Ms. Crowley's, I believe that $80,000 should be a minimum value that we consider for her land. The remaining $10,000 from that sale price was allocated to the structure on this comparable. And while it's difficult to directly compare because one is a newer manufactured home and hers is a stick-built older home, I believe that $10,000 can be a minimum value that we attribute to hers because of the very poor condition of this house. And so then, therefore, the subject will be valued above $90,000. Number 2 comparable here is at 1082 5th Street, and this is in Crescent City, not Smith River. It is located, it's at 1082 5th Street. It sold for $115,000 on December 31st, 2019. It's 1,217 square feet in poor condition, and it was built in 1931. The land in this case I don't feel is comparable because it is a city lot, not in Smith River on an acre. However, we are required in our office to allocate between land and structure value, so I included this sale here because the improvements are so similar. From that $115,000 that it sold for, $55,000 was allocated to the structures. The condition of this home was poor at the time of sale, but it appears to me that it was livable based on the interior photos. The quality of the homes are quite similar, but it does have a more substantial garage space. So overall, I feel that they're highly comparable and her improvements should be valued somewhere around $55,000. The third comparable is at 7400 Lower Lake Road. It is another manufactured home, but it is on 1 acre surrounded by agricultural fields, and it is used as a residence. It is improved with the 1,782 square foot manufactured home. that was in poor condition at the time that it was purchased. From this $110,000 sale price, we allocated $100,000 to the land. It is located in Fort Dick on Lower Lake Road, but I feel that the size, the use of it, the zoning, and the surrounding area all makes this highly comparable to the applicant's property. And so therefore I think that the land value should be around $100,000. And the last comparable, number 4, is located at 237 North Wallace Avenue. There's a photo of the exterior in the packet here, and then some of the interior showing some damage to the floors and the poor condition overall. It's located on 0.21 acres in Smith River. The home itself is 1,814 square feet. It was built in 1893, and it also has a 416 square foot attached garage. The land is comparable because it is nearby to the subject, but it's almost 4 times smaller and therefore inferior. It was allocated $50,000 for the land on that smaller parcel. That remaining $10,000 of the sale price was allocated to these improvements, and the home was noted in poor condition at the time of sale. The age and quality is lower, and it appears to have more needed maintenance. So I believe that the subject property should be valued above the $60,000 sale price. So considering all of these, I feel the best indicators of value are $55,000 to improvements based on that comparable number 2, and $100,000 to land based on comparables number 1 and 3. So that brings us to a total of $155,000. Even if we were to use the low-end improvement values, so these poor condition homes that were allocated $10,000 in the comps, that would bring the entire property value to $110,000, which would still be lower than the $105,000 that we had enrolled for 2020. So in conclusion, the assessor's office believes that the 2020 enrolled value of $105,103 is below the fair market value for the 2020 lien date, and we ask that it be upheld by the board.
Any questions?
And this might be really ignorant, and I apologize. How often are properties assessed? Is it not just when they sell?
So we do reassessment on properties whenever there's a change in ownership or there's some kind of qualified new construction.
Okay.
So other than that, they just retain their base year from the
Okay,
time
that's what
that
I
it last
thought.
sold.
Okay.
Mhm. Improvement just meaning the structures themselves. That's the term that we use to call. It's an improvement to the land, basically.
And what triggered this reassessment?
It's not a reassessment.
So the applicant was on the Prop 8 program in the past, and then we look at the value of the homes that are on Prop 8 every year on January 1st. And once their factored base year value is below what the market value is, then we put them back on their base year. We give the benefit of whatever is lower. So when that happened in her case, I believe it was 2019, or it was possibly this was the first year that we took her off Prop 8 back on the base year value. And so she appealed that, feeling that she should still be on that Prop 8 program.
And so you met with the applicant and tried to work this out?
Yes, I went out to her home in, I believe it was July of 2020, did the field visit where I examined the property, talked about the value that we came to, and then because we still felt it was higher than what her base year value was, then we had her file an appeal, or she decided to file an appeal.
Okay. Anything else from board members?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Crowley, you'll need to get sworn in by the clerk.
Go ahead and step up to the mic, Carlin.
Yes, I am Carlin Crowley, and I live at 800 South Fred D. Hyatt Drive in Smith River.
Carlin? I need to swear you in before you start
Oh, I'm
speaking. Can you
sorry.
just raise your right hand and state your name?
My name is Carlin Crowley.
Do you solemnly state under penalty of perjury that the evidence that you shall give in this issue or matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, may I give you some papers to look at too? I don't know how many I've got. Maybe you might have to share them. Well, actually, my case is a little bit different than what the assessor was talking about. But when she was talking, I do have a couple things to say. The garage, shed garage, is not attached to the house. There's a difference, between it. And the roof is really in good shape. I think it just needs a good sweeping off, really. Because I think the roof must be about 10 years old. And, but that's not, none of those are the issue. I've got a $1,000 reward out here. I have been terrorized since, someone has got in my house since 2013. All the time, I've had 60 times I've called the sheriff's department. My property has a gate that stays locked, where you can't drive in, thank the Lord for that, or I wouldn't even have a house left. I'm fenced and I'm cross-fenced because I've had a horse from time to time. And anyway, so I know there's been 3 people getting in my home. I've had, I hope you can read better than I can, but I've got penal code 602 PC, and that's for trespassing. Burglary, penal code 559 PC. Vandalism, penal code 594 PC. Harassment, which in California, harassment really means terrorized, because I have been terrorized since way before, when they started breaking in my house in 2013. I think it's because they learned from YouTube how to pick a lock and how to bump it. And boy, I tell you, I have to watch myself 24/7. That's the reason. I have a real estate license, a broker's license, but I don't use it. I'm afraid to even come here. I'm afraid to leave my house. I don't know when they're going to get in it. I've got every room in my house locked. I've tried to take care of unfortunately, I live alone. Maybe if I had some help, we could catch them, but I just can't seem to be everywhere at one time, unfortunately. And they've knocked the doors practically in. I'm busy trying to repair things inside all the time because I like my house. I do. That's why I bought it. I liked it. But I had no idea that all this stuff was going to happen. And I hope nobody else. It worries me because if they know how to get in my house, then they might be doing the neighborhood too, but I haven't heard of anything, So I can't nobody will buy my house. My friends don't even really want to come over for that problem. Nobody, people are afraid to get involved too. I don't know what else to say. But, I can't sell it. I'm stuck. I'm afraid to go anywhere. I've had a career that I started to, try to get to, I'm good at ventriloquism, and I wanted to get out, and I wanted to make people laugh and happy. And, everything, my whole life has been destroyed, bottom line. So.
Okay. Questions from board members? Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Crowley, I'm trying to understand, I do understand the information you gave us, which was a notice of a $1,000 reward for information leading towards the capture of individuals that you just spoke of that are breaking into your home. But I'm trying to understand the issue which you're presenting specific to the valuation that's been given by our appraiser and then the valuation that you're offering to us, which I see from your appeal is $40,000 from the land, for the land value, which is what you're asking for that assessment to be, and then for improvements to the structures, another $40,000 for a total of $80,000. And then the assessor's office is assessed it at $105,000. Is it a fact that you're unable to make that payment? What is driving you to appeal this to the Board of Equalization?
Excuse me, okay, well, before the assessor, the assessors changed hands, the other assessor knew, I told her that someone was breaking into my house and they were damaging my cabinets and putting stuff all over them. They used chemicals. And, and around my property, I have blackberry vines that are taller than me now all over. In 2020, someone must have run around and just threw blackberry seeds all over the place, because all of a sudden I look up now and they're taller than I am. And no one really wants to fight blackberry vines when they're like that. It's a nightmare. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't know what my property is valued at. If I can't sell it, I really don't know, It's not that if I was, the value that she gave me, if I could live like a normal person and not have someone come in and terrorize me all the time and try to, I think I'm being run out is what they're trying to do. But I've stood my ground and I'm here. I mean, I don't really have any place to move, and then, so I don't know.
Supervisor Starkey?
Yeah, if I could just add, I think that we've got kind of two different issues happening here. And what I'd like to do is, we're going to have to vote on the value. But I also would like to just connect with you and ask we've got the Area 1 Agency on Aging that has funding available to help secure your home better. As a community, I believe that we can do something different for your safety. But I think today we're here to talk about the value of your home. But I would love to connect with you and come up with other solutions, because this is very concerning, and I'd like to be able to assist you in that if possible.
I do want to tell you that I've had CC cameras put up, and I've done everything that I know to do to protect my home. And they hacked my computer. They've hacked my computer. They've even hacked my cell phone. It's like, I put those hunting cameras all over my property, and they spray something on them. And there's been a couple times that when my computer was off and I run one of those SD cards, that I saw somebody watching me. As a matter of fact, they were hiding really close to my house, and I got a picture of them, but I was really tired, so I thought, okay, I'll leave my camera off, and my computer off. I'm going to go to bed and get up and check everything out, the next day, and the pictures were gone. They were erased, and even before 2013, this person, he would do vandalism all over my property. Anything, I can't leave anything on my outside in my yard, or it gets tore up. There's so many things that,
Yeah, but again, so today we're focusing on the value of the home, but I've got your information here. I'm personally going to contact you, if that's okay with Supervisor Howard. And we'll set something up, and we're going to try and find services for you outside of the value of your home. I think that's the issue.
Thank you.
You're
And if things were right and I could be like a normal person and sell my home, I wouldn't dispute the value of it. I really wouldn't, but nobody wants to buy it like this. That's why I'm offering $1,000 reward. If I could offer more, I would, just for peace and quiet and not having my place destroyed. Yes, it would be worth it.
Supervisor Maston, have you got anything?
No, not at this time.
So have you got the property listed for sale?
No, no, I don't.
Have you ever listed the property for sale?
Yes, I did once, and Linda Crockett was interested in buying it, but she said I wanted too much at that time. That was $100,000.
You had it listed at $100,000? Mm-hmm. Okay. And so, do you have any comparables? Do you have any comparables to
I didn't
to
think I
provide.
need, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't think I needed them because that really wasn't the issue that I was,
Well,
it was,
yeah,
a-
and
you know.
yeah, and I understand that you have some issues with that, with your property out there in vandalism and everything you've been talking about. But we're talking about evaluation, so we're trying to get, if you've got some different comparables, something that we can look at. How did you come up with the values that you came up with?
You mean the 80,000?
Yes.
Well, that was just because it got raised to 80,000, and I thought, well, that's fair, it was 80,000, and I thought, well, that's a fair price. And then at that time, I had found, like, I've had that hay truck come by and throw rocks at my house and hit my house on the Crockett side. And, I don't know, if it was an accident or, whatever, I'm not saying it wasn't an accident, but before 2013, I had a lot of problems, being terrorized with just the land itself.
And if we could go back just a minute, what year did you have it listed for sale?
I can't remember. It's been quite a while ago.
Quite a while ago. Okay.
Yeah. But it was, it was fixed up and something to be very proud of at that time.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Looking for a motion?
So do you have my phone number? Right. Thank you. Thank you.
And with that, I would like to motion to uphold the assessment as it is currently listed.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second. Kylie, would you please poll the vote?
Supervisor Maston?
Yes.
Supervisor Howard?
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey?
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes. Okay, so we are going to move on to item number 24, which is approve the assessment appeal withdrawal application for APN numbers 860-000-004, 039, 056, 076, 078, 113, 114, and 115, 149, and 150.
Move to
Charter-
approve, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I will second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we take public comment on this? Counselor?
I'm sorry.
We don't need public comment?
No,
on
we
this?
don't need public
Okay. All right, thank you. Kylie, would you please poll the vote?
Supervisor Maston?
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey?
Yes.
Supervisor Howard?
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes. Okay, we're going to adjourn as the Board of Equalization, reconvene as the Board of Supervisors, and approve a donation from L&L Design and Construction for concrete slab demolition at the Animal Services Control Facility, as secured by Supervisor Starkey and requested by the Agricultural Commissioner Sealer of Weights and Measures.
I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
The motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, bring it back to the board. Kylie, would you please poll the vote?
Supervisor Howard?
Yes.
Supervisor Maston?
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey?
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes. Okay, item number 26, approve the donation from the Rotary Club of Crescent City to the County Veteran Services Office for non-perishable items for the Del Norte County Veterans Pantry as requested by the purchasing agent.
Motion.
Have a motion
I will second.
and a second. Public comment?
Yes,
Mr. Cocker.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, on behalf of my young brother, Judge Cochran, and Samantha Isdale, they worked together to put together a grant for from the Rotary International for $2,200, and of course, the Crescent City Rotary Club will match that. And then being your volunteer veteran service officer, and I didn't realize I was doing such a bad job until I heard that this morning.
Well, evidently you need to go to the meetings.
Say
So
what, John?
Evidently you need to go to the meetings so you can hear
You know,
that.
I've been a member of that organization for right close to 60 years, and I've only attended one meeting, so I don't know if that's good or bad, and that's back when Ken Monroe was the commander. And most of you don't remember Ken, but I do. But anyway, on with this thing. We're looking at filling the pantry not only with food, but we've ordered bedrolls and we've ordered backpacks. And this morning I was talking with the assistant over there, and my wife says, you know, what they really need is socks. And so I asked Sam if they had socks. She says, we got tons of them. I said, well, good. So we won't have to order those. But anyway, we will spend the $4,400 on food and needed items for those homeless veterans. My young brother wants us also, and it's not so much in the wintertime, but in the summertime, of giving gas cards. And so the money we'll take probably $400 or $500 and buy gas cards, and hopefully the gas price will come down where they can get out of town. But anyway, we're very appreciative of Rotary International and the Crescent City Rotary Club of doing this. So thank you for your motion.
Great, thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing no other public comment, we'll bring it back to the board. Kylie, would you poll the vote?
Supervisor Howard?
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey?
Yes.
Supervisor Maston?
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes. Okay, item number 27, we're going to conduct a public hearing to approve and authorize the draft PLHA 5-year plan with California Department of Housing and Community Development, and 2, approve and authorize the chair to sign the attached resolution with HCD, and 3, authorize the director or assistant director of the Department of Health and Human Services to execute the PLHA program application, PLHA standard agreement, and any subsequent amendments, modifications, or other related documents to the PLHA program as requested by the Director of Health and Human Services.
Motion.
I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, then we'll bring it back to the board. Any questions or comments? Kylie, please poll the vote.
Supervisor Starkey?
Yes.
Supervisor Howard?
Yes.
Supervisor Maston?
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes. Okay. Item number 28, approve and adopt an ordinance establishing noise regulations in residential areas, and 2, designate county council to prepare a summary for publication as requested by county council.
Question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Joel, a couple things came up during the discussion this morning during public comment, plus some other things I've thought about. I'm just curious on how did we contemplate again yard maintenance in this?
I believe it's exempt. Let me pull it up here.
I was looking through that. I saw the grading, but I didn't see anything specific to.
I thought I seen it.
So
I think it might say
I?
something like.
Is it I?
It's I. It's associated with maintenance of real property. That's basically your mowing and your lawn maintenance, you know, as long as you're not doing it on a Sunday or.
Yeah, and then specific to the points that they brought up earlier in the actual detection monitoring, how does that roll out in the enforcement of a misdemeanor to these decibel levels that folks quote unquote monitor? Who's doing that? Is it code enforcement? Is it sheriff's department? I mean, walk me through that, please.
Yeah, I think that most likely it is going to be the sheriff's because the complaints will be after hours. But code enforcement does have the equipment to monitor the decibels. So that's something that's going to be worked out on a kind of a practical level.
So we'll just have to wait and see, is what you're saying?
Well, the board can also, give direction and decide who you want to do it and decide what that might cost and things like that.
I'm just curious.
Supervisor Maston.
Yeah, there was another question also. So that would be a fine against the property owner or a fine against the people making the noise who are present? Because that was one question that came up in public comment. And the other is, I don't know how noisy that is. And so, and I'm wondering how they're going to measure that if the noise isn't going on by the time someone gets there. And so whose burden of proof is it, or how do they measure that? Those are my questions. Because when the noise level you stated, I just don't know what that equates to.
So for the enforcement issue, it could be either, but typically we would enforce against the property owner. That's the way all nuisance is. You're responsible for your property and who does what on it. As far as how it's enforced, those are just going to be the practical considerations. If there's a complaint and law enforcement gets out there and has the ability to measure it, they would have to measure on the spot. It would be their burden of proof. Like a lot of county ordinances, enforcement is always going to be an issue of resource allocation, but having the ordinance itself creates an expectation people will comply with it. It gives, neighbors something to expect. It a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, having the ordinance gets the compliance without heavy-handed enforcement, and that's the hope.
Any other questions from board members? Public? Kylie, would you please poll the vote?
I don't believe we have a motion,
Oh,
Chair.
I'm sorry, I thought we had a motion. I apologize.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay.
Supervisor Howard?
Yes.
Supervisor Maston?
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey?
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes. Okay, budget transfers. We have budget transfer 10-09 in the amount of $65,634 within the sheriff's budget to utilize a Homeland Security grant. Item number 30 is budget transfer 10-10 in the amount of $100,000 within the jail budget unit to utilize providing access and transforming health grant funding as requested by the sheriff. Item number 31, 10-11 in the amount of $203,000 within the Department of Health and Human Services budget as a result of the 2022 Housing and Homeless Incentive Program. Item number 32, which is transfer number 10-12 in the amount of $60,000 from the general fund contingency budget to advertising and promotion budget, and 2, authorize the administration department to process the claim for payment to tri-agency as requested by the county administrative officer. And 33, budget transfer 11-01 in the amount of $50,000 within the Measure R budget unit, and budget transfer 11-02 in the amount of $50,000 within the public nuisance budget for the purpose of abating public nuisances within the South Bend Avenue nuisance abatement area as requested by the Community Development Director.
Motion.
I have a motion to approve all those budget transfers 10-09, 10-10, 10-11, 10-12, 11-01, 11-02. Have a motion?
I'll second.
And a second. Any public comment on these budget transfers?
Question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
On budget transfer for item 33, 11-01 in the amount of $50,000 from Measure R to the public nuisance budget, that's in the Community Development Department's code enforcement line item, or I don't remember that. The public nuisance, I guess from my review of the budget, I didn't remember we had a public nuisance budget, so.
Yeah, I believe that the way that it's coded in the software, county software in the auditor's inquiry, it's labeled as public nuisance, but it's actually code enforcement.
Do you recall how much we have in there currently?
In our code enforcement budget?
In the public nuisance
In the lien
line.
repayment, in the lien repayment line or in
The public nuisance budget line in the county budget. I'm sorry to probably cut you off.
For
guard there.
professional services? I know when we started the fiscal year, we had $20,000 in it. I'm not sure where we are right now.
Okay.
Likely less than that.
Generally, what's that line used for again?
That is to pay for tipping fees at the transfer station, for Roto-Rooter to come out and pump RVs, dismantling costs. We may have to have it something towed to a yard or up to Curry Transfer, depending on what we
Basically,
have.
when there's a
It could also
distressed
be
property.
for renting bins for folks, and then we end up leaning the payment against, but we would have, fees to Recology. So those are our primary locations that we spend those funds on.
I appreciate that, Director. Thank you.
Anything else? No public comment? Bring it back to the board. Kylie, would you poll the vote?
Supervisor Howard?
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey? Yes. Supervisor Maston?
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to bring up the urgency item that we approved to put on the agenda to oppose the closure of hunting on Lake Earl and Tolowa area. Or actually, I guess we should do it for, well, right now we'll do it for Lake Earl and Tolowa because it's the waterfowlers that are interested. But, and so I don't know, I think maybe just direct staff to put a letter together opposing.
Yeah, and I'd actually do more than that. It's Chair Hemmingson, as you recall, we've oftentimes, especially when it's something like this, we generally try to gauge the commission members and also Department of Fish and Wildlife staff on the legs that this this movement might have, in this case, the petition. And I think that would be wise in this case because, as you remember, we've traveled many a times to many California Department of Fish and Game commissions to be up front and be in front of the commission specific to these issues and requests of our community. This obviously came as a surprise to both you and I, and we generally track these pretty close, but the fact that I was just on the phone with Director Bonham last week and there was no mention of this, these are generally the kind of things that he would bring up, and I'm concerned that about something like this gaining traction without a government-to-government consultation that we normally have in instances like this. So I would also, as part of this, would like to ensure that there's dollars to travel down there to the commission meeting for a board member if they so choose to represent the county's position at the commission hearing in December.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense. But so do we need staff to contact commission staff or commissioners before putting this letter together?
I think it would be advisable if we direct Assistant Director Hooper in actually reaching out to maybe Region 1, but more directly with the state, and then also the commission staff themselves, since they're two different agencies within the Resources Agency.
And then follow up with a letter?
Yeah, absolutely.
Follow up with a letter.
Obviously, we need something by December 1st. And
is that enough for you, Randy, to move forward?
So specifically on the letter, are you looking for engagement with Fish and Game, or are you looking for a comment letter on the substantive issues?
Well, in this case, we don't want to see the closure of Lake Earl to waterfowl hunting. That is really the only public location in the county where waterfowl hunting takes place, pretty much. Arguably, without access to private lands, people wouldn't have an opportunity to waterfowl hunt in Del Norte County. And so at least some minimum of discussion with the board should take place prior to any decision being made by the commission. So I guess my direction, if the board is so willing, is to ensure that the tone and nature of ours is to, one, consult with the board before any of this decision takes place, and two, that we speak our mind on the petition with a do not deny the rights of waterfowlers on Lake Earl and close it.
So
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so I think it's two Two things.
Understood.
We want to request that if they're going to make changes in Del Norte County, they need to come talk to us first. And the other thing is to put a letter together opposing closure of. Okay? So let's poll the vote. I think we had a motion, right?
Yes.
Motion and a second. Let's poll the vote.
Chair, I believe we have a motion, we had a motion and a second to add this to the agenda, but I don't believe we have a motion and a second to approve the actual item.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to write this letter and approve the discussion.
Okay.
Would that be amended for either staff or somebody from the board to travel to the commission?
Yes.
Thank you.
And is that a second?
That's the second.
Okay. Any public comment? Okay, seeing no public comment, then Kylie, would you poll the vote?
Supervisor Maston?
Yes.
Supervisor Howard?
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey?
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes. Okay, moving on to item number 34, which is approve the use of fiscal year 2022-2023 budgeted capital improvement funds to address the costs associated with the relocation of the agricultural weights and measures department as requested by county administrative officer.
Motion.
And I will second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, they'll bring it back. Any questions or comments from board members? Kylie, please poll the vote.
Supervisor Howard?
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey?
Yes.
Supervisor Maston?
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes. Okay, item number 35, approve and authorize the chair to sign a joint comment letter with the agricultural commissioner requesting financial aid for organic dairies located in California due to drought conditions and inflationary costs impacting operations as requested by the agricultural commissioner.
Chair Hemmingson, out of a potential transparency conflict of interest, I'm going to recuse myself from this item.
Okay.
But I will motion to approve this letter.
Okay,
And I will second.
And I have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, we'll bring it.
I do have, this is on the drought relief for the state of California that's been approved down in other counties south of us for supporting dairy farmers.
This is, yeah, support, yes, it is,
Okay. So, as you guys may or may not know, I'm Joe B. Rumiano with Rumiano Cheese, fourth generation cheese producer here in Del Norte County, as well as down in Glenn and Butte County. We have 24 local family farms that provide us with organic milk here in Crescent City from Humboldt and Del Norte counties. They're all family farms as well. This last year with the drought and last years with the drought has caused a lot of the feed to be not grown, and it's resulted in very, very high prices for organic feed. It's doubled, right, at least. So $700 a ton for organic grain at this moment, which if they're not able to feed the cows this time of year, they don't produce much milk. And they have really no alternative. I know down in the valley too, they've done something with the rice farmers to where they have given them money to not grow because of there's no water. So my suggestion would be something similar for our farmers to get subsidized for the rising costs of feed that have doubled in the result of some sort of federal funding or something in that regards. Because really, if the farmers go out of business, we have no milk, we have no jobs, we have no food. So it's very important this trickle-down effect gets recognized, and I'm in support of any sort of relief that could be generated in the form of funds from any agency at this point.
Great, thank you, Joey,
So thank you.
appreciate it. Any other public comment? Seeing no other public comment, Kylie, would you please poll the vote?
Supervisor Maston?
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey?
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes, absolutely. Kylie, did we get everything?
Yes, we did.
Okay, with that, our next meeting is December 13th, 2022, and we are adjourned. Thank you very much.